So, what exactly is asset based thinking, and how, with asset based thinking, can actually help you build your one person, 1 million all digital business? So, today we want to talk about a way of thinking, the, the mental model we need to have, especially as a one person, 1 million all digital business, because I always say that, in this journey itself, inevitably we would experience what I call the three Ds, and the three Ds are basically number one, delays, because many things would take longer than you think or you want it to be, and everything takes longer, right? And so inevitably there's going to be some kind of delay whatsoever. The second D is there are going to be disappointments, right? And that is not to kind of throw cold water at you, but the reality of things is that in the entire journey itself, you will face with some kind of disappointments. So disappointments could be in a sense that when it comes to customer, right? What you thought was your best job for them, and yet they are not satisfied, and so you are disappointed. Or disappointment can come in the form of as a as you work with a vendor, and the vendor promises to deliver a piece of work, but when you get the end result itself, it is a far cry from what you originally expected. And the third D is what I call disasters. And this one is probably a little bit more mitigated, because when it talked about disaster, sometimes a disaster could lead to something better. It could help you pivot to the next level. But sometimes the disaster could inevitably just kill you. And so when we talk about disaster here, essentially what we're saying is that are there certain events that it's going to dramatically change the landscape and change the way you do business? For example, in my own experience itself, 9/11 was a huge disaster for my startup at a point in time. And because of 9/11, the customers were not going to continue, investors were not going to continue with their investment roadmap, for example. And that led to a lot of serious issues. And, one could easily just throw in the towel and say, well, I give up. Or one could easily just say that, well, nothing is going according to plan, and let's back out of this. But the true hallmark of someone who is an entrepreneur and someone who is in this, not just to look good or to be fancy, the fact that we see this as a serious business, as something that we can do about it, the way that we approach it, it's going to be very, very different. And so today, that's exactly what I want to share with you in terms of how you can embrace this thinking model to help you face any form of challenges that will come your way in your journey as a one person, 1 million or digital business owner. Right. And so the thing that I want to share with you, it's called asset-based thinking. Now, asset-based thinking was actually a term coined by Kathleen Kramer, and she came up with this concept of asset-based thinking, which isn't all that disfamiliar with many of us. So asset-based thinking essentially is saying that you look at what you have got instead of what you do not have, right? You look at what you have got instead of what you do not have. So it's a little like looking at a cup half filled versus half empty, right? So asset based thinking at one level is looking at what you already have. Yeah. Looking at what you already have, looking at the fact that the cup is half filled. Now, asset based thinking would also be looking at the strength. So, like for example, today in my training of this group of people from China, my main message to them is the following. I said, all of us have strength, right? Every single one of us have a strength. It doesn't matter whether we are the CEO or we are the divisional managers or we are the directors or we are just the entry level executive. All of us have got a strength or even strengths. And so the key thing that we need to note is that we need to first and foremost believe that everyone has a strength. Now, once we have that belief, the next part really is we want to be able to look at what people are strong in. So, as an example, one of the activity that I do when I teach people in terms of coaching their subordinates, one of the things that I always get them to do is tell me all the people who report to you and tell me each one of them what is their key strength. And you will see some of them would really struggle with certain individuals, whereas when it comes to some other individuals, some of them are just able to tell you a list of strength that these other individuals have. So why is that the case? Well, one thing is obviously because we tend to see that well some people are good and some people are not good, instead of saying that what are their unique strengths. So yes, in the grander scheme of things, some people are better fit for one organization than others. But that said, all of us have got our own strength. So asset-based thinking really encourages you to look at the strength that people have rather than look at what are their weaknesses. And the third thing, when you look at asset based thinking, it's we are always looking at exploring potential. We are looking at what else could it be, right? So we're looking at potentials. We are always looking at possibilities as opposed to we are always looking at problems, or we are so focused on the minutia of what are each and every single piece of problem that we forget about the possibilities and the potential itself. So that in a nutshell, it's asset-based thinking. And asset-based thinking is definitely going to help you counter or meet those challenges of the 3Ds. Like I say, there are going to be delays, there are going to be disappointments, and there are going to be disasters, right? Sometimes it's the disaster that kind of wipe you out, like in some cases, but sometimes those disasters are probably a blessing in disguise, right? So asset based thinking is to counter this 3Ds in your journey as a one person, 1 million, or digital business. If you have got a situation that you are currently facing, for example, if you are facing some kind of a challenge, what I like to challenge you to do is to embrace asset based thinking. Now, and so what are the things that you can look at in terms of asset based thinking? You can look at what do you already have, right? What you already have. That will be number one. Number two would be really looking at what are the strengths, right? What are the strengths that you have? And the third thing is really to look at what are the possibilities and what are the potential, right? So I want to challenge you to look at a specific situation that you are in right now and how you can apply asset based thinking to your circumstance. Now, I think many of you would be thinking, like, yes, it's good to have asset based thinking, but how exactly can we build that, right? How can we build asset based thinking? And so that brings to mind the TED talk given by Catherine Kramer. In the TED talk itself, she starts the talk with a very simple piece of instruction to the participants. And so what she said was that every time I say, you rock with ABT, you would respond with, we rock with ABT. Now, what is ABT? ABT is asset based thinking. So, for example, when I say you rock with ABT, you are going to say we rock with ABT. Now, so what exactly is rock? ROC. What exactly is rock? So she went on to explain that rock essentially means resilience, optimism, and confidence. And so, if you want to develop asset based thinking, the three core skills or the three core attributes that you must have would be resilience, optimism, as well as confidence. So, let's take a look at each one of them and let's look at how you can build your resilience, your optimism, and your confidence. So, first, your resilience. Now, like I said, you will face with disappointments, delays, and even disaster. So you need to be resilient, definitely, in this journey itself. Without resilience, it is unlikely that you are going to be able to succeed. And so, especially in today's context where things are changing so fast and some of the things that we kind of know has stopped working, and we need to look at new ways of doing things and invent new ways of attracting customers, for example. And so we really need that level of resilience to not give up. So when you think about resilience, resilience, it's one way of looking at it. It's the ability to bounce back from any kind of adverse situation. Now, how are people able to bounce back so quickly where others can't? And it all boils down to actually four key areas itself. So now, area number one is essentially your supporting network. I firmly have benefited from the fact that because I got a great supporting network, I'm able to get out of my funk and I'm able to get out of any adverse situation fairly quickly, or because I have people who believe in me, love me, and encourages me. And so, number one is, of course, to look at your network. Who are the people that you are able to speak freely about the circumstance that you're facing, knowing that these people are not going to judge you, but they are going to look at ways to support you. Now, that's really, really crucial. And with the community that we are building, that's something that we want to build. The culture that we want to build in our community is that people want to be able to see this place as a safe place, a place whereby, when you bring your concerns, we are not going to judge you, but instead we're going to find ways to encourage and to support you. So one, it's of course connections. The number two thing that you could do with building up resilience is actually through personal well-being. So when it comes to personal well-being, one of the key thing that I truly, truly believe in is that you need to take care of your body, because it is this body that is able to help you do things. It's this body that is able to help you achieve your goal. It's this body that is able to help you go places. Without this body, you are nothing. And so you have to take care of the body, and the best way to take care of the body is to exercise, right? To to commit to some kind of a worked out on a daily basis. And so for someone at my age, being able to work out on a daily basis, I see that as a blessing, right? To be able to work out daily without any encumbrances. Of course, as I age, I'm beginning to see that there are certain areas that I am a little bit more concerned about. But in general, I am still healthy in a sense. And so I want to continue with that. Number three things that you can do to build resilience, of course, it's your thinking, right? And so when we talked about positive thinking, when we talk about asset based thinking, that is one way that you could also start. So it's kind of like a feedback thing because once you have that level of resilience, be you would be able to apply asset based thinking, and because you have asset based thinking, you would have better resilience compared to others. So that's the third one. And the last one, when it comes to resilient, it's actually to reflect back on past accomplishments. And here's one thing that I have been doing of late is that I would look back at the accomplishments that I have achieved. And sometimes I would ask myself this very simple question: what is it that I have now that 5 years ago was a dream? Right? What is one thing that I have now that 5 years ago was a dream? So I can tell you, for one thing, it's 5 years ago, the one thing that I see as a dream is having multiple sources of income. Now, having multiple sources of income, it's one of the best insurance policy for me because, as you could see during this COVID-19 situation, because of the fact of this different stream of income, I'm able to still earn my keeps even though the situation was trying. And so if you only have one source of income itself, then obviously it's going to be a problem. So um, the fourth thing is really to document the kind of accomplishment that you have on a daily basis, right? Be it personal or even professional, right? So that's one thing that you can do. So resilience, make sure you have a good supporting network, take care of yourself, to be able to apply positive thinking and also to start journaling and documenting your accomplishments. So that's resilience. Now, let's go on to O and C, right? O, it's optimism. And so when it talks about optimism, it's really not about wishful thinking, right? That could be a form of denial as well. So when we talk about being optimistic is also to be able to see the best in everything. And so when we say, being optimistic, is there an, a situation whereby being optimistic is not going to help? Uh, and pessimism is just the way to go. I would argue that in most cases, right, in most cases, optimism is the way forward. And without that level of optimism, sometimes we just see a ceiling. And many times, it's that ceiling or that wall that is in our head that we need to get rid of. And until we are able to get rid of that wall itself, that's where we are able to break through to the next level or break through against the barrier itself. So that's optimism. Now, the last one is confidence. Now, confidence sometimes is overrated because people would say that, well, if only I'm confident enough, then I'm able to do this. Now, I can tell you for a fact this is a lot of crap because when I started this live stream, I can tell you I was not confident. Well, I was not confident because there were certain things that I do not know how to do. I was not confident because I'm not sure if I am able to continue for the next 5 episodes, not knowing that I will be at the 180th episode now. And also, when it comes to the live streaming experiment itself, I wasn't confident that I know everything when it comes to live streaming. And so I make all my rookie mistakes and I make all my blunders. And there was even one video which I refused to take it down. There was one video, for some reason, there was no sound. And I received a comment from someone who actually dropped by and said that what kind of video is this? There's no sound at all, right? And so, but the point I want to make to you is that if you wait until you are confident, then you start, it's going to be too late. So what we do really is we firmly believe in that whatever situation you're in, there is always a way, right? There is always a way. And so if you take on a particular thing, it's just knowing that, well, if you need certain skill sets, if you need certain tools, you will get that, right? You will get that. And by having that belief itself, it is so powerful because with that, it gives you that confidence to even make mistakes. And that's exactly what I did. When I started with the live stream, I was confident enough to make a mistake live and have it be documented. And I want to be able to go back to those episodes and watch it and laugh about it and to be able to say that, wow, that was terrible, right? But at least I know what are the struggles that you will come across later part in your journey as a 1 person 1 billion all digital business owner. Okay, so see its confidence, and the way to build up confidence really, it's one, it's to firmly believe in yourself, and if in doubt, that's where that's when you can go back and look at your journal of all your accomplishments, big and small, and that's where you are able to build the confidence to say that whatever situation it's being thrown at me, I will find a way, right? And you will find a way. Okay, I hope that this has been helpful to you. If you found this to be very useful, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up on YouTube as well as on Facebook. And the other thing is that if you want to learn more about building this 1 person 1 million old digital business, so make sure you subscribe to this channel. In fact, the special 5 part minute series is going to come up sometime next week. I am still in the process of planning and looking at the production of it. I wanted it to be something a little different from the usual live stream itself, and so that one needs a little bit of a prep itself. Okay, so that is going to come up. And so, if anything, watch out for that 5 part series where we talk about building this 1 person 1 million all digital business. All right. And so, with that, thank you so much for being here. And if you got a question, feel free to drop in the comments, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Bye bye now.